One market on the app. He is the president of the People's National Party, the leader of the opposition, and a leader who carries a vision for Jamaica where there's dignity and integrity, and where every community and every person is a smiling. Yes. Hanover, let us welcome the party president. Oh, Marco, wherever you are, stand up and give him a Hanover welcome.
Thank you very much, Madam Master of Ceremonies. I've been told that you can't say Marco to Panzer, sir. So I must acknowledge our two members of Parliament for Hanover, our Mayor, my MP colleagues, our councillors who are here, and all of the citizens of Hanover who have come out to share with us and have this discussion and dialogue this afternoon going into evening. I am not proposing to make a big speech because part of the purpose of this occasion is to hear from you and to use that opportunity to talk to us and us to reply and hear it's you can share and get the benefit of the information coming from the people. But what I would start by saying is this. I think the government's response to this disaster called Melissa is shockingly bad. It is really atrocious. When it first happened and the world was looking at Jamaica and all the NGOs locally and from foreign came in and foreign governments were paying a lot of attention, things were happening to some extent. But after Christmas into the New Year, people moved on. And the people who had suffered the damages from the hurricane felt abandoned. The government has had no cohesive, proper process for getting Jamaica back on its feet, especially Western Jamaica, including Hanover. So you have this little haphazard approach like the roof program, where you have so many people who have suffered damage, who have submitted their names, who have been assessed but haven't yet received a benefit. You have the TARP program for tourism workers, names submitted or rejected. You have nothing for the business community, especially the small businesses that have been damaged. Is it any wonder that Jamaica is in a deep recession? Is it any wonder that we've had 3 consecutive quarters of negative growth, 9 months of negative growth, with 3 more months ahead of us? Well, we're really the 4th quarter now of this period I'm speaking about, projected to be negative as well. So that by the end of September, Jamaica will have experienced 1 year of negative growth. How can you expect anything different when the government sees a disaster and does not respond in a comprehensive way to get people back on their feet? And I must tell you, we heard the announcement last December about this massive envelope of international funding, $6.7 billion that would be there to reconstruct Jamaica. But Jamaica needs reconstruction now. It needed it yesterday and the day before. And we're not seeing anything being done to get this thing going. They conceptualized NARA. NARA was originally supposed to be the response to Hurricane Melissa damage. It has nothing to do with Hurricane Melissa. NARA is a way that the government is trying to deal with a situation that they failed to deal with for the 10, 11 years coming up that they've been in power, where they have not been able to create an environment where the economy is growing at any meaningful pace. And they're saying, well, the reason for that is because things take too long. and the bureaucracy is too inflexible. And therefore, now is going to be a way that Andrew Holness as Prime Minister can, if necessary in his mind, circumvent and get around any bureaucratic hurdle and just push everything through. But we are not even going to know, because it's not going to be made public, when those powers are exercised. There's no accountability in the structure of NARA. And private investors investing over 15 million US can apply to put on a list that they can get the benefit of the push through of their projects. That's a recipe for corruption. That's a recipe for corruption. In the meantime, 9-10 months passed since the hurricane. NARA is not even functional. The person was chosen by the government and hired to run NARA, visiting Peru to go look at what Peru did in response to some flooding back there. But NARA is not yet, in effect, doing anything for the people. And the economy is in a terrible condition. And then, what's more, what else is going on makes you feel like Jamaica is not a place where the people really matter. So you have situations like what is happening in Cooper, Spain, where some long-standing court order is suddenly enforced. And the police go into the community in the wee hours of the morning, scrape up the man them in the community, carry them and go lock them up in Farmouth jail. And then the bulldozers coming with more police, not all the people in the house. And it's only after that process is finished, they release the man them and they don't charge them anything because they haven't done anything wrong. No, and then of course, the MP says she never know nothing about it. Government claim they don't know. So how is it then they have helicopter in the sky and so much police involved in enforcing a private man's court order? It's not credible. Then we have this speech, I think I'm calling Jacob. I don't remember the name of the beach. The beach beside Silver Sands, where people have been occupying, doing business and that, these structures have been erected, they've been there for many years. And all of a sudden, all these notices to quit are put on their structures. The notices are in the name of the national, the NRCA, Conservation Authority, as owner. That's very strange. It's not, if NRCA really the owner of that property? I don't believe so. I don't know NRCA is no big landowner of valuable land along the beach. So you have the state working in that way, no consultation with the people again. People's livelihoods under threat, their investment under threat, and the state is not there to help them. The state is oppressing them. And we saw it in Tristan, in Bernard Lodge. We saw an attempt in No Ida State at a place in Pleasant Hill. And we've seen it in other parts of the country. And that is why I'm saying we need a proper inquiry into how rights in relation to land are enforced where people have occupied land for long periods of time and have invested in that, are relying on that for their own personal well-being. It can't just be that you just enforce private rights with no regard for the rights of the people who are there. And the role of the state is to balance those things fairly. So these are some of the things that we see going on. And we want to see a better Jamaica. We want to see a Jamaica where access to beaches is dealt with in a way that gives our people a feeling that they are part of the country. It can't be a situation where we continue to allow development in a way that excludes our people from their own access to the beauty of the country. Mistakes have been made along the way. Most political parties have made mistakes along the way. But that is no reason for us now to continue to worsen our situation, which is already bad. Now is the time to fix it. We've seen other things. Corruption is a big problem in the country. Our situation where now the Prime Minister's own personal finances can be signed off on as being in order by the anti-corruption agency. We have another situation where a minister in cabinet has been recommending a prosecution for serious offense of corruption is allowed to stay in cabinet and challenge that matter in court. That is not the system that we operate. When there is a cloud over you, you check for yourself until you have indicated your name. And then you can come back at that point. So how can the people in this country have confidence in this government? When there's so many things going on that indicate that they're not governing for the people. The way they deal with Melissa victims. Since I came here this evening, I met a couple of people who've told me their own situation. Serious damage to their homes. Nothing has been done to help them. That can't be right. And then the economy is in contraction mode because people are suffering. And people can't get their lives back together. Businesses cannot thrive in an environment where the people who are the customers are suffering so badly. The government their economic policy is failing because their economic policy is not tackling these issues. In fact, it's making them worse. So we're in a spiral, a negative spiral, a downward spiral, and there's no government policy that is seeking to do anything to reverse that spiral. So we are here as the opposition, and we're not perfect. We say something, sometimes things are said that should not be said. That's the nature of the modern world where communication is so pervasive. But we are never going to bulldoze at people's house and drive them out into the worst poverty. We will never do that. And we are committed to building a society where all of the people in this country, especially who have historically suffered from the system, are looked after, that their rights are protected, and that they can step up in life and be whatever they want to be and are prepared to work towards. Because the people of Jamaica are who we are about. That's why we are called the People's National Party. People come first, but we're national too. So we all Jamaicans are welcome if they come with a clean heart and want to see the country progress. So I'm going to pause now because I want us to have some time to hear from you guys. Audience who have come to participate. And you can say what you want to say or ask what you want to ask, and we will try our best to respond. So